Welcome to Chapter 7, Success in Simplification. Now, I gotta say, simplification or simplifying things is one of the biggest keys to taking control of your space, your time, and your energy, and is really one of the biggest factors in creating a life that you're excited about. So we've already addressed so many things in this program, and oftentimes you may feel stressful and you're not even really sure what the hell is going on, like why you're feeling stressed, why all of a sudden just one day just feels more chaotic than others. And so I want to share with you an exercise that I do every time I feel like this. And this is going to help you get so clear so quickly. So the first thing that I want you to do is get out a notebook or a journal. And I want you to just do a brain dump. That's step number one. Just do a brain dump. Get it all out. In this brain dump, you can write out any to-do lists, any things that are pissing you off, anything that you know that you need to do around the house, like the squeaky door or whatever. But literally just get it all out. Write out things that maybe feel cluttered, that maybe feel chaotic. This isn't just items in your life. This is people. Like if you have a stressful relationship with your neighbor, right? My stressful relationship with my neighbor, let it all hang out. Like literally like pop the top open and dump it all out on paper, okay? The second thing that I want you to do is, of all the things that you've written down, I want you to narrow all of these things down to your top 10. And then, so I actually highlight and I'm like, okay, so this one's the top one, this one's the top one, this one's the top one right now. And then from that top 10, narrow it down to your top 3. And from those top 3, narrow it down to the number one thing that's pissing you off, or the number one thing that is causing you to feel stressed out and overwhelmed right now. This may take you by surprise. This may be like, okay, this is such a random thing, but it's the little random things that matter. So, number 3, so the first thing, brain dump. Number 2, narrow all of what you've written down to your number one top stressor. And the third step is to take a look at your top stressor. And I want you to ask yourself, okay, how can I look at this stressor differently? How can I look at this stressor differently? And what's a possible solution to this? So when you look at the stressor and you can say, okay, how can I look at this differently? Sometimes looking at it differently is to just recognize, wow, I didn't realize this was such a big factor in my stress level. So a possible solution to it is, okay, so what can I do to reduce or eliminate this stressor in my life? And then you can ask yourself, okay, am I willing to do something about this today? Sometimes you can, sometimes you're not, but at least ask yourself, am I willing? That doesn't mean that you're going to do something about it, but it just means I'm willing. Am I willing to do something about this stressor today? And then you can ask yourself, okay, what's one thing that I can do to clear this up in my life? What's one thing that I can do? And just jot these down. So these are 4 questions that you ask yourself in number 3. How can I look at this stressor differently? What's a possible solution to this stressor? Am I willing to address this stressor today? And what's one thing that I can do to clear this out? Now, I first did this exercise years and years ago when I was really stressed out about what seemed like everything. Like everything was pissing me off. And I'm like, oh my God, like, do I have PMS? Like, what's going on? It was crazy. So I got out a notepad, I did a brain dump, and I did 6 pages of a legal pad. I was like, dude, this is crazy. And what came out of me was all kinds of stuff. It was like to-do lists. It was random stuff for work. It was situations about people that bugged me, and I literally wrote it all out. And then in the process of narrowing down my number one stressor, you know what it was? And I was like shocked. It was cat litter. I was like, seriously? Out of all the 6 pages of stuff that I wrote down, cat litter was the number one thing that was stressing me out the most at that time. So I was like, okay, I addressed it. So I was willing to brainstorm ways to look at how I could create a possible solution for this. How I could look at it differently was like, wow, I did not really realize this was stressing me out so much. Wow. And so why it was stressing me out. So when I lived in the previous house that I lived in, the cat litter was in the garage. When I moved, the cat litter was now in the basement by my bedroom. And the cat litter, it seemed like the cats were like, you know, throwing beads at Mardi Gras. Like the cat litter was everywhere. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And every time I walked down there and I walked barefoot, I would get cat litter on my feet. And I was like, this is so gross. Oh my gosh. Granted, it wasn't dirty. I mean, I don't even know if it was. But anyway, I didn't like cat litter on the floor. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to get rid of the cats. So what I could do is maybe get a big, large area rug to put underneath the cat litter box. So I measured the area, went to a local store, found a big rug, swept and washed the floor underneath the box, and I put the rug under it, and I was like, so good. Well, that rug caught like 95% of all the cat litter, and I was like, oh my goodness. I did that day. And I could feel my stress level go down and down and down. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So addressing this one seemingly insignificant thing made such a world of difference. Like it was crazy. Overall feeling of everything just felt so much better. I felt so much easier and it made me feel like I had my shit together. And again, it was just addressing the cat litter. So doing this process truly allows you to simplify your life one tiny stressor at a time. Again, it's these tiny stressors that add that weight to you every single day so that you feel overwhelmed, so that you can't address those big things in your life. And when you take these off of the list and you address one tiny stressor after another, what happens is all of a sudden your life gets simpler and simpler and easier to navigate and a little bit more exciting every single day. So what I want you to do today is I want you to print out the PDF below this video and do this exercise and see what your number one stressor is. And I want you to address this today. Once you're finished, head on over to the next lesson. And remember, it only takes a small 1-degree shift to make magic happen and create a life you're excited about.